Welcome back. We have our original linked list, and we just found out that our linked list is actually a singly linked list. But we want to convert this now into a doubly linked list so that we add that extra feature of an extra pointer. How would we go about doing that? Well, let's go line by line. And luckily for us, it's not that difficult. As you can imagine, if we go line by line and go into the constructor, the one extra piece of information that we need to add now is that we also have a previous pointer now. And this previous pointer will be null to begin with. So the head is going to point to null. And everything else stays the same. But what happens when we append something? Well, once again, we're going to add a new node that also has previous property, a new property that points to null. And we're still going to have the tail.next equal to the new node. And this doesn't change. But the only line that changes is that we need to add a previous property, because remember, append is adding at the end of the list. We want to add the previous property to equal whatever was at the end of the original list before we did the append. So all we would need to do is say new node.previous is going to equal this.tail, the very last item, before it gets updated over here to the new node. Let's see if append works the way we have it. I'm going to scroll down here and just comment out all of this code except for the first two lines, append 5 and append 16. If I click run here, I get a doubly linked list that has a head of value 10, okay, that points to next, which is the next node. We see value 5. That points to an object that we don't really know yet, and also points to a previous object. And within this 10 node, we see that previous points to null because there's nothing before the head. If we look at the tail, we see that the tail now has a value of 16. Next is null because it is the tail, it's the end. But the previous node is also pointing to this node 5. And the doubly linked list has a length of 3. Very cool. So all we've added is this previous reference. Let's do the same for prepend, that is to add at the beginning of the list. If we scroll up to prepend, we once again want to add a new property, which will be the previous. That will equal to null for now. And we want to keep everything the same. We want to make sure that the new node.next is going to point to whatever the head is currently. But we also want to say that this.head.previous, the previous should now point to our new node because it's no longer the head. And then we can update the head to be our new node, and this.length is going to increase, and we're going to return this. If I click run here, remember we're prepending 1, so we're adding 1 to the beginning of the list. We see that our doubly linked list now has a head with the 1 value. That's pointing to the next value, which is the 10. And our tail is still the same. Tail is 16. That points to the value of 5. So if we print list here, again, 1, 10, 5, 16, as we expected. What about the insert? How would that work? If we go to insert method here and go line by line, this first part, everything's okay. We have a new node, so again, we'll add a previous property that will be null for now. We're still grabbing the leader and traversing to the index. But now we have to do things a bit differently. We need to grab the leader as well as the follower. So if we wanted to add 99 here, we need to grab a reference to 10, the leader, and also the follower, 5. So I'm going to change the name of leader.next, that is 5 over here, to say follower. So the leader of our new node and the follower of our new node. Now follower is now going to be the 5. We're going to update leader.next, so that is 5, or leader.next, which is what comes after 10, to be the new node, our 99. And then new node.next is going to equal the follower, that is 5. But we also want to make sure that our new node dot previous is going to equal the leader, that is the 10. And also make sure that the follower, that is the 5, has a previous value that points to our new node. So if I print list here with our insert, I've inserted the value, but just to check that everything is working, I'm going to console.log this, which is our linked list. If I click run, I see that our linked list has a length of 5, and I'm going to change this to index of 1 so we can see it in our output here. I'm going to say index of 1. If I click run, I see that head is now value of 1. The next in the item is value of 99, as we expected, and it has both next and previous properties. And that's not too bad, right? As long as you visualize the steps and draw your diagrams, all we're doing is saying add the new node or get the leader to point to the new node. The new node should now point to the leader, and the new node should point after it next to the follower, and the follower is now going to point back to the new node. You might have to go through this in your head or draw it out on a paper, but it should make sense now. And at the end of the day, singly linked lists and doubly linked lists aren't that different. As you see, all we're doing is just managing another pointer that points to the previous node. I'm going to leave the remove linked list up to you to implement your own in the doubly linked list, as you've learned up until now. It shouldn't be very different from what we did in the insert. But I hope you have an understanding of how linked lists work now. Interviewers love asking questions about linked lists because it requires a lot of information to be held in your head. And as you can see, they can be really complicated if you're not the type of person that thinks clearly through their steps and understand what they're doing one by one. And the steps are really important. That's why interviewers love this question, because they really get to see how you think. And with linked lists, as long as you draw out what you're doing step by step, it becomes really, really easy as long as you don't just start coding it out from memory. Just draw out the steps, think about your steps, and the interviewer will be impressed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.